Hi there, scholars! I hope that you're excited to finish learning about Frida today. Today we're going to look at a lot of her artworks and the special things that made her super famous. A few things to remember. One is that we learned about Frida's childhood and adulthood and when she became a painter back on Monday. So if you didn't see Monday's video, I want you to go watch Monday's video before you do this one, okay? If you already watched Monday's video, then for today, I want you to pause when you need to and rewind when you need to. So if I say something that isn't quite clear, feel free to rewind, or if you need to just take a break to use the restroom or do something else, go ahead and hit pause, okay? So, a few things to remember about Frida's life. We remember that Frida was born a long time ago in 1907. And then when she was 18 years old, she was in a really bad bus accident. And in the bus accident, she hurt her back and her organs just a lot, and she was in bed for 3 straight months. So she couldn't walk for 3 months. She could only lay in bed to get better. After that, she got married to Diego Rivera in 1929, and that was when she started to become really, really famous for her work. So now let's start looking at what makes her work so unique. So scholars, Frida was very, very famous for something called a self-portrait. That's these words up here at the top, self-portrait. Can you say those with me on 3? 1, 2, 3. Self-portrait. And a self-portrait is when you paint yourself in a painting or in a drawing. So if Miss Quiñones paints something and it's just Miss Quiñones in the picture, then I made a self-portrait. But if Miss Quiñones paints a picture of our teachers or paints a picture of our principal, that's not a self-portrait because it's other people. So you need to make sure that whenever you do a self-portrait, that it's just you in the picture. So Frida was very famous for self-portraits, and she studied her face a lot because when she got sick and when she was laying in bed for those 3 months, she had a mirror above her head. And so she would look at herself just every day, and then she started to study her face. And when she began painting herself because she was looking at it every day, and she got really, really good at being able to create herself in a painting. So if we want to look at like this self-portrait of Frida, we can compare it to a real picture of Frida. So Frida, she really did have a unibrow. She always had like a flower crown or braids on top of her head. She really did dress in this really traditional Mexican style. And whenever she did a self-portrait, they usually look like that too. She got her face pretty good. It looks pretty similar. She's got her unibrow, which you can see in the middle of her head. You can see her braids and her flowers on top, and you can see her traditional Mexican dress. This self-portrait is called the frame, and that's because it looks like she's sitting in a picture frame. So if you have any picture frames with somebody in your house, that's kind of what she was going for. She wanted to make it look like she was sitting in a house where it's just her looking at everyone. So this next self-portrait, you can see Frida. We have Frida 2 times in this one. So this is still a self-portrait because the only person is Frida. This one is called Árbol de la Esperanza, mantente firme. I'm going to say that one more time. Árbol de la Esperanza, mantente firme. And that means tree of hope, remain strong. It's a really pretty title, and you can see that it's written right here on this flag that the Frida in red dress is holding. So let's try and think about maybe what this means. It says remain strong on her title. So now let's look at her picture. We can see one Frida who is healthy. We see one Frida who's holding her cast. She's in a bright red dress. She looks happy, she looks healthy. But then we have another Frida. And this Frida, she does not look so healthy. She looks hurt. So if we remember that Frida was in that accident, we can see one Frida who's hurt from the accident, and we see another Frida who has gotten better. So I think that Frida means she's trying to tell herself to remain strong. She says remain strong in the title, and it's like this Frida who's healthy and happy and has grown that wants our broken Frida to remain strong, because things are going to get better, her paintings are going to get better, and she's going to get really, really famous for everything that she does. So she's trying to tell our first Frida, remain strong. I want you to hang in there. This is another very, very famous self-portrait from Frida. This one is really cool because we can see Frida with her hair down. Frida actually had very long hair, like all the way down to her waist, but she always put it in a braid or in a bun on top of her head. This Frida, we know that it's Frida because she's got her unibrow, it looks like Frida, but she's got her hair down actually. And I want you to take 5 seconds and I want you to look at all the things that are going in and out and around Frida, and I want you to think about what those are. Let's think about that. If you think that these things that are going in and out of her are roots or are leaves, then you would be totally correct. So if you can see, we can see these big leaves running around her hand and her body and all the way down here, and we can see the stems. Well, this self-portrait is actually called roots. In Spanish, you say raíces, but this is called roots. And you can see that Frida has all these roots growing in and out of her, and she's connecting to the earth. So in this one, she is growing roots, just like a tree or just like a plant, and she is connecting to Mexico, she's connecting to the earth, and just connecting to her world around her. This one is really, really cool. It's very unique. All right, scholars, so here we have 2 self-portraits of Frida, actually. This is the first one. This is probably one of the most famous that we see. You can see that she has a black cat behind her, and she also has a monkey. A fun fact, Frida really did have a pet monkey. That was a real thing. So this is her pet monkey that you see. And this one is called Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and Hummingbird. So she named it after the stuff that was around her neck. So if you can see all these brown like loops and things that are crossing, those are more stems, but they have thorns on them. So normally we see thorns on like roses and other plants like that. Well, she's made it into a necklace and she's wearing it right here on her collar. And then you can also see the hummingbird. So this is the hummingbird that she's talking about in her title. So her hummingbird is hanging on, and it's kind of like the decoration of her necklace. Up here, this is a very, very popular self-portrait of Frida too. Again, we have 2 Fridas, and this one is actually called The 2 Fridas. So this is probably her most famous one that has 2 Fridas in it. So we have one Frida who's in this white dress, and we have one Frida that kind of looks a little bit more normal. She's in her Mexican dress, she's in her bright colors, she also has her braids on top of her head, and this Frida who's in the white is supposed to be like a representation of her dad. So if we think back about learning about her dad, well, her dad was from Germany, and that means that her dad was from a different country than her mom. Her mom was from Mexico because she was from Oaxaca. So her dad and her mom, they had 2 different cultures. They were from 2 different places. And so when they came together and they had Frida, it made her feel like she was bringing these 2 places together. So inside Frida's heart, she felt like she had her dad's side and her mom's side. And we know that they're connected because they're holding hands. They both have their heart showing, and it shows that in her heart she feels like she's got these 2 cultures, these 2 places, and she's bringing them together. All right, scholars, so now let's start talking a little bit about how you're going to turn something in today. So today, for the Your Turn part, I want you to tell me which self-portrait of Frida was your favorite, and I want you to tell me why it was your favorite. So don't just say, oh, I liked that one, and then stop. I want you to say, my favorite Frida self-portrait was blank because blank. Capiche? So, if you are in kindergarten, I want you to remember you can turn things in on Class Dojo in your portfolio just like always. But if you're in Ms. Jensen's class, you can use Flipgrid, okay? So Ms. Jensen's class, you have two options. You have Class Dojo and you have Flipgrid. If you are in first grade, you can do my Flipgrid page, or you can use Google Classroom. So you can use the comments in Google Classroom, you can write it on a piece of paper and take a picture, and then put it in Google Classroom, or you can go to Flipgrid and you can make a video using our sentence, okay? If you are in first grade and you want to use Flipgrid, remember you have to follow 3 steps. The first step is to go to flipgrid.com on your Chromebook. Then you're gonna put our class code, Quiñones 1448, and then you're gonna sign up with your school email. You're gonna push the blue button and you're gonna put your school email on it. Okay, scholars? So this is it for first grade Flipgrid. I'm really excited to see everybody's response, and if you need anything, just let me know. Bye, scholars.